Hello and welcome to lesson number 3. I hope you're all doing well. Let's get started. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the 7 wonders of the world, making your own pyramid, and doing a Google Maps discovery game. For our fun facts quiz, let's talk about the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Which continent has the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites? Is it A, Asia, B, North America, or C, Europe? If you said C, Europe, you were correct. Having a look at our first 7 wonder of the world, let's look at these images. Do you recognize this? Let's try and think about what place this is. This is the Colosseum. The Colosseum is in Rome, and it's a fighting ground which used to hold over 50,000 gladiators. Moving on to our next one. What about this palace? Have you ever seen this palace? Do you know what it's called? This is called the Taj Mahal, and it was made in honor of the emperor's wife. Legend says that the emperor actually cut off the hands of all the workers so that they could never make a palace like this. Now, do you recognize these pictures? If you remember, we looked at this last week. This is called Petra in Jordan. Petra is known as the Rose City, and apparently only 15% of it has been explored, so there's so much more still to be found in the Rose City. And what about this temple? Do you recognize this temple? This temple is called Chichen Itza. It's located in Yucatan, Mexico, and is the largest Mayan city. And this building right here is known as the Castillo, or the castle. But it has a very pyramid shape. Now it's your turn to make a pyramid just like the Mayans did. All you're going to need for this activity is a piece of paper. So once you have your piece of paper, let's get started. Firstly, you want to take your piece of paper and you want to fold it in half the long way. Then fold it in half the other way. If you need to pause the video at any time, feel free to do so. Now, take one corner and you're going to pull it to the opposite corner. Make sure you're pressing it down really well. Unfold it. And now we're going to do the same thing to the opposite sides. Now, look at those edges. You're going to make a little triangle by pulling the corner into the side and press down. And you're going to do that again on the other side. Now take the middle and you want to fold the middle pleat inwards and fold it over. Now we're going to take this corner and fold it in. Now we're going to do the same on the other side. So take that middle pleat and fold it inwards again. And now, fold that last bit inwards. And there you have it. Now you have your pyramid. If you want to, you can fold it down and paint it and draw on it, whatever you like to personalize it to make it all your own. Well done. Let's continue looking at our wonders of the world. So have a look at this picture. Do these pictures remind you of any place? This place is called the Great Wall of China, in China. The Great Wall took over 20 years to finish and is a total of 21,000 kilometers. Rumor has it that it is the only man-made building that you can see from space. And what about this statue? Do you know who this is? This is Christ the Redeemer, who is in Rio. Apparently, Christ the Redeemer is so high up on a mountain, it gets hit by lightning so many times in a year. And lastly, we have this. Do you know what this is? This place is Machu Picchu. It is known as the lost city of the Incas. And when it was made, there was no form of transportation. And so the rocks and stones were brought up by people. Now it's your turn. Let's try and locate these places on a map and see what you can remember. First of all, we have Chichen Itza. Do you remember where that was? It was in Mexico. Next, we have Machu Picchu. Try and point to where you think Machu Picchu is. Machu Picchu is in Peru, in South America. And what about Christ the Redeemer? Christ the Redeemer is in Rio. Do you remember where Rio is? Try and point to it. There he goes. And what about the Colosseum? Do you remember where that was? The Colosseum is in Rome, Italy. And how about Petra that we learned all about last week as well? In the Middle East, in Jordan. And the Taj Mahal? The Taj Mahal's in India. And lastly, the Great Wall of China. It's in the name itself. It's in China. Amazing work. Now, let's play a little Google Maps game. How about you get out your Google Maps? Now, let's try and give you some clues and see if you can identify what 7 wonder of the world I'm talking about. Let's get started. So, this wonder is in a continent that we talked about in the past 2 lessons. It's in Europe. So let's try and find Europe. Now, in Europe, it's in one of the countries, in one of the areas in Europe that we talked about, if you think back to lesson 1. It's in Southern Europe. And where in Southern Europe, do you remember? We had a look at a few of the wonders of the world, but do you remember which one was in Southern Europe? In what country? Well, there's one in Italy. Is this giving you any clues? Do you know which one I'm talking about? Okay, one last clue. It's actually in Rome. Do you remember which 7 wonder of the world is in Rome? If you said the Colosseum, you were correct. Well done. Moving on to our last activity, It's date time. Let's see if we can match the date of the place and when it was made. So, starting off, when do you think the Colosseum was made? The Colosseum was made in 70 AD. So, quite a while ago. And what about Petra? Petra seems quite old. Do you know which of these dates it was? Was it 600 AD? 400 AD? It was actually 800 BC, although it is not sure when it actually was. That is an estimated time, but it was such a long time ago. And what about Chichen Itza? Chichen Itza was made in 400 AD. And what about the Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu was in 1450 AD. Christ the Redeemer? Actually, Christ the Redeemer is the one that was made the least time ago and was made in 1922. And how about the Taj Mahal? The Taj Mahal was made in 1631 AD, leaving the Great Wall of China in 600 AD. Good job! Now let's do our last fun facts quiz. So, we just talked about the 7 modern wonders of the world, but do you know which of these was one of the ancient wonders of the world? Is it A, Stonehenge, B, Empire State Building, or C, Great Pyramid of Giza? Well, I think it probably isn't the Empire State Building considering that's modern. It actually is C, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Well done! As this is our last lesson, I wanted to say goodbye to you all. We've learnt so much in our time together about the Middle East and its flags, about Southern Europe and the countries and their cultures, and about the 7 wonders of the world. I hope now this has sparked your interest in geography and you all go on to become amazing geographers. Can't wait to see you next year. Bye bye!